podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, November 24th, 2019. This is episode 1647. Enjoy, and happy Thanksgiving. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Brave. Brave is the browser reimagined. Switch now to get unmatched speed and privacy and stop trackers from following you. Save battery life and earn rewards by opting into privacy-respecting ads. Brave is free and easy to switch to. Go to brave.com/twit and switch to Brave today. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Yeah, it's time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. This is a show where we talk about tech and answer your questions and talk about all the tech news. Let me give you, before I get started here, let me give you the phone number. That's the most important thing, because then I don't have to talk for 3 hours. 8888 Ask Leo. That's a nice, easy one to remember. Like 2 piano keyboards and me. 8888 Ask Leo. And then there's a website, too. I should probably mention that, because the phone number's there, the links to the chat room, but most importantly, links to all the things that we talk about on the show, including audio and video from the show, at techguylabs.com. And that's free. I'm not pushing it because I make money on it. No, it's free. No sign up. It's all yours. techguylabs.com. I saw an interesting story today. I like the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Have you heard of them? The EFF. They were founded more than a decade ago with the notion of, somebody's got to keep an eye on things to make sure that the internet doesn't become just this, I don't know what, mall or a strip mall. Doesn't become just a kind of a trash heap, but is used for good. Somebody's got to keep an eye on the big companies, and make sure that they don't abuse their power, that kind of thing. Generally, I agree with everything the EFF does. The way it's structured, they raise money. I give them money every month because I believe in what they're doing, and they raise money, and then they use the money to hire lawyers. And those lawyers take companies to court to pursue court action. But lately, they've also been doing a lot of kind of online advocacy on their website, EFF.org. And there was something on the EFF site this week that I kind of caught my attention, got me thinking, and I'm wondering what you think of it. So, do you know about the Ring doorbell? Of course you do. Amazon owns it, but it's one of a number. Google has its Nest Hello doorbell. That's similar idea. You have a doorbell that rings your phone, but also has a camera. So there has a camera and it watches your front stoop. I actually have that, and I have cameras around my house and stuff, because at first I thought, I'm not going to be that paranoid guy. I don't have a big crime problem in our neighborhood. I'm not worried about kids, teenagers putting graffiti on my walls or anything. So, but it's kind of cool. And mostly we use it to keep an eye on the cats. But it's nice to know that if somebody wanders into our backyard, we'll know it. And really, the reason I like the camera doorbell is when somebody rings the doorbell, I can see who it is. And I can talk to them, and I can hear them. It's not so much as an anti-burglary system, although it's useful that way. When bad guys see a Ring camera there, they know it's there. And that probably discourages them a little from jimmying the door or that kind of thing. So, I don't think it's a bad thing. And it's not taking a video of my neighbors. It's just my front porch and the sidewalk in front of it, and, the street in front of that. One of the things that Ring does, the Amazon company does, is they have an app called Neighbor. And if you opt in, you don't have to, but if you opt in, your camera can be part of the Neighbor network, and you can see all your neighbors or people in your neck of the woods that have Ring cameras, and they can post stuff, and they can say, hey, watch out, this guy's been going around trying to open doors and stuff. And that's, it's like a neighborhood watch. what the EFF is upset about, in fact, so Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball player, Shaq, does ads for Ring. And I think he's a part owner, actually, of Ring. For some reason, I got that impression. Anyway, he does ads for him. And here's their spokesperson. And the EFF is saying, Shaq, come talk with our experts because you have to justify what Ring is doing. Because Ring, apparently, has deals with local police departments, deals they try to keep secret. In fact, they asked the local police department, don't mention this, can you? Okay. And there's about 500 police departments. In fact, the company was just testifying in the Senate and said that the police departments have these deals with us and they can keep the video and they can share it with whoever they like. 600 now police forces, partnerships with Ring, Amazon. Ring and the police department say it can be a vital tool in law enforcement, right? They can investigate crimes of all kinds. Burglary, package theft is a big problem. I think a lot of people get these Ring cameras because of people stealing packages from their front steps. So some privacy advocates, including the Electronic Frontier Foundation, even some lawmakers are saying this could also empower more widespread police surveillance, fuel racial profiling, and spark new neighborhood fears. Ed Markey of Massachusetts wrote to Amazon saying, well, tell us more about what Ring is doing. Police can, who are members of this Ring Alliance, get some deals, like they can get extra cameras, they can subsidize the cameras, but they can also use the software to get 12 hours of video from anyone within a half a square mile of a suspected crime scene. Because, you'll see the suspects fleeing or whatever. Up to 12 hours from any time in a 45-day time period. Now, you can't just ask for it. You have to have a case number. But that's it, just the case number. But that's kind of a form of protection. There has to be an actual case you're investigating. You can't just say, hey, tell me what happened on the street the other day. I actually don't see anything wrong with this. Now, a lot of people complain, and I've seen this too, that there's some prejudice sometimes in the postings on Neighbor. People will say, oh, there's a dark-skinned guy out front walking down the street. I don't know if I trust him. Yeah, you know what? Prejudice exists in the world. It's a terrible thing. We got to root it out. It's not okay. But I see this a lot where people say they blame the tool instead of the people. They say, well, this tool facilitates prejudice, so we should get rid of the tool. Well, why don't we get rid of prejudice instead? Maybe that would be a better idea. Let's try to root that out, because the tool, I think, could be very useful. I like it. I like having that camera there. And I don't, by the way, the one I have is not Ring. It's a Nest. I had Ring for a long time. But there was a feature of Nest's Hello camera that I kind of liked that's an even bigger invasion of privacy. You can turn on face recognition. So my Hello doorbell, the camera, as it sees people come to the door, I can identify them. I say, oh, yeah, that's our son, Michael. Oh, that's my wife, Lisa. Oh, that's me. That's our neighbor, Sally. I can put those names in. And then I'll get a notification that says, Sally's at the front door. I love that, right? I love that. Or somebody I don't recognize is at the front door. I love that. It even has some sort of AI, I guess, that says, I think somebody just left a package at your front door. I love that. I have Echo, not Echo, I do have a lot of Echo, but I have the Google Assistant devices, especially the one with the screen on it, the Google, what do they call it now? The Nest Hub Max, I think is the name. Too many words. But it's a screen, it says Google Assistant. But it also, when somebody rings the doorbell, it puts video right there in my kitchen. I'm sitting in the kitchen, I can see who's at the front door. That's very handy. It says, and it even says, someone's at the front door, or Sally's at the front door, and I could see I love that. But, and here's where privacy advocates might get up in arms, that camera's doing face recognition, probably sending it back to Google, I would guess. I'm saying this is Sally, and now Sally's image, her face, and her identification is up on the Google servers. Now Google knows who Sally is. And I guess the fear is then Google could sell that to law enforcement, and it could become of a mass surveillance state, which I think is a bad thing. I will grant you that. We don't want a mass surveillance state. We don't want to be tracked at all times. This is true in China. There's cameras everywhere. They're collecting them all the time, and they can, they can pull up, okay, where was Leo over the last 35 days? And see video of me everywhere that was captured by the camera. Not my house, but everywhere else. So I guess I'm asking, what do you think? I think this is a really cool tool. I think it's a great idea. Yes, it can, prejudiced people can use it to spread their prejudice, but that's life. That's prejudice. We got to root that out. Doesn't mean the tool is flawed. I think the tool is cool. What do you think about the face recognition? Is that a step too far? Maybe it is. Maybe I'm ratting out Sally. Is that possible? I guess it is. It does say when you set that up, make sure it's okay in your neighborhood, your neck of the woods. Make sure that it's not illegal to do this. Like people check. Oh yeah. I'll make sure it's legal to do that. I'll check just to make sure before I do that. What do you think? 8888 ask Leo. I like it. I'm not getting rid of it. Should I turn off the part where it sends data to Google? I do admit, when I had the Ring, I stopped using Neighbor because it makes you scared. There's a guy walking down the street. There's somebody knocking on the doors. It just makes you scared, and it facilitates kind of this paranoia that I don't think is healthy. That happens, right? Your friends and neighbors are, oh, it's dangerous out there. Oh, it's scary out there. Yeah, we don't want to encourage that. We don't want to encourage that. But so I didn't use the Neighbor stuff. But I like to know when there's somebody at the door. I like to know when there's a package on my stoop. I like to know when Sally's coming over because she usually brings cookies. So I like to know that. 8888 ask Leo. We can talk about that. Oh, yeah. And as Rob in our chat room says, half the time your neighbors are reporting you. Yes. I do walk around a lot. They probably are. Wow. Sam, Abuelsamid.
Hello, Leo.
I am so excited. I see it behind you. We got to talk about the Cybertruck too, right?
We can if you must. But.
I'll just throw. I mean, but the Mustang is much more interesting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely talk about the Cybertruck.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing well. Glad to be home.
I bet.
I can finally call an end to the 2019 leaf season today. Finally finished.
It's all on the ground right now. They're in a bag.
Well, they're all mostly bagged up now.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
went up and cleaned off the roof and the gutters and.
Nice.
So
that is a horrible thing. I remember that. We have evergreens here. We don't really have that problem. Well, I take it back. We have leaves because there are some deciduous trees here.
Yeah, I love our neighborhood because we've got a lot. It's an older neighborhood, lots of mature trees everywhere. But the downside of that is come this time of year, there's leaves everywhere. I have this massive maple tree in my backyard that just forms this giant canopy over most of my yard. Yeah. It's great in the summertime. I can take my computer up there and look up there. But when they fall, man, there are a lot of leaves.
Yeah. We have Japanese maples, same thing. They're beautiful though when they turn, so we get a little bit of that color thing. That's my memory of fall, is the smell of burning leaves. Of course, nobody can burn them anymore, but that was in my youth. That's what you did.
Bag them up and they take them to the township compost site.
Yeah,
they make
much better than burning them.
Yeah, giant piles of compost. And then in the spring we can go get free compost.
Nice, that's a good deal.
Yeah,
that's a great idea. So after looking at all the specs, I watched the video, which wasn't all that informative, but I read your article and many more, and I just think this is exactly the right car for me. I'm not getting blue though.
You don't like the grabber blue?
No. I've seen Mustangs in that too. It just doesn't send me. The red was cool, but I decided to get the carbon black.
Okay, that's a good choice.
Yeah. I got it in the next morning. I hope I got it in soon enough to get the first edition because that's the one I really want. But
yeah, you should be able to.
Okay, I know they got a lot of orders.
Yeah. Last I saw, like about Tuesday or Wednesday, I think there were about 14,000 orders.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? That's so good. I'm so glad. And I know people are upset. Well, we'll talk about the Mustang badge and all that. But as a former Mustang owner, I had a bright red GT 5.0, and I loved it. But, it's hard to get into. I had to get rid of it because it's too low, and it had a stick. And
that's not a problem with this one.
Not a problem with this one. Easy to get in.
Easy to get out.
It's so funny how much they kind of cribbed from Tesla, but that's fine with me. Anyway, we're talking about.
I mean, they did. I think they copied the right things from Tesla, and as long as they don't screw up the things that they should be good at.
I agree. All right, we'll talk in a minute. She is the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer. Our phone angel. Kimmy, don't take no Schaffer. Hello, Kimmy.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I couldn't be better.
Good.
I'm feeling great. It's a beautiful day. There's no fires.
There's no fires. It's clear. It is beautiful. I still have herbs and tomatoes growing in my garden.
What?
I know.
Wow, late harvest, huh?
November 24th in my... Yeah, it's great.
We haven't had any rain. We're going to get some rain next week. But wow.
Probably on Thanksgiving
It's a late fall. That's okay. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Just with the family.
The fam.
The aunt, the brother.
I bought
the
a
dad,
ham
mom.
and a couple of turkeys because we got the whole fam coming over.
Full house.
Full house. I love that.
Yeah.
And, of course, tonight is a big celebration because our 49 we have a split home.
I can't wait.
49ers are playing Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers, and our 17-year-old's a Packer fan.
I don't understand why.
He's
probably
cheesehead.
never been to Chicago or Wisconsin
in
his entire life.
No, in fact,
I don't understand these people.
I'm going to break him of the habit because I promised to take him to Lambeau Field some December.
Oh, yes, please. When it's the frozen tundra, as they call it.
40 below.
Yeah. He will probably change his allegiances if he knew that's what he would have to deal with to go to one of those games.
It's pretty funny. But anyway, it'll be a fun game tonight.
Yeah.
So let's take a call. What do you think? Who should I talk to?
How about John in Indianapolis? He went to Prague. He called you before going to Prague, and he was going to take his Echo Dot, so he was calling to report back on how that went.
I want to hear.
I agree.
Thank you so much, Kim. Hello, John. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
How was your visit to Praha?
It was fantastic. The leaves were starting to change for fall, and it wasn't too cold, wasn't too warm. It was great. So the 8 days there. Fantastic city to walk around, and everything's very cheap.
Bohemia. Well, and I hope you had some beer because they have some excellent beer there, too.
I couldn't believe how cheap the beer was. You could buy a bottle of beer for roughly 40 cents.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, refresh my memory. You wanted to bring your Echo on your trip with you.
Yeah, I was called in to inquire about taking my Echo Dot because that's what I use at home for my alarm clock. I use it to listen to streaming music, use it to listen to your podcast streaming.
Well, you're all in on the Echo sphere, as they say.
Yeah, I've got 4 of them in my place. So,
wow.
So I went ahead and took one, and I had it connected to my travel router.
Yeah.
I went ahead and, as suggested by you, went through and reconfigured the Dot and told it that it was going to be located in the Czech Republic, and had no issues whatsoever. It knew what time it was, so there wasn't any issue of it being in the Eastern. Because I'm in Eastern time zone.
Yeah, it doesn't have enough circuitry to say where am I. I don't think.
Right.
I mean, it might, but I don't think. And so that's in the Amazon Echo app on your phone. You can say what time zone. You could actually say what address you're at, and so that's probably a good thing to do. And then you were able to hear news and stuff.
I was able to hear news without a problem. I was able to listen to streaming music.
Nice.
I could listen to podcasts.
That's fantastic.
That's sometimes what I'll fall asleep to at night. And it worked just like it did does here in the U.S.
You did the experiment, so I didn't have to. Because honestly, I'm with you. I really love my my voice-enabled assistants, whether it's the Echo or the Google, and I really love the idea of taking it with me. I mean, it's my alarm clock, right, at home.
Well, and I've got a little drawstring bag. I can throw that in there with the travel router and the cables that it needs, and it worked just fine. And I also tried it on the Wi-Fi there without the travel router to see because I had my travel router set up to use a VPN to get back into the US.
So that's actually kind of cool because now you can while you're at home, you can pair your Echo to that router, and so it won't know that it's in some strange country. It'll think, well, this is my router.
Now, I think, though, that it would not know what time it was. So I had to go through and reconfigure it to tell it.
Oh, so it is looking... Okay, interesting. So it is telling the time.
So in essence, I went back in and had to reset up the device.
Okay.
And I told it I'm located in Czech Republic. But a lot of the music and things like that, which I was concerned maybe it wouldn't stream to, I didn't seem to have any issues being in a different country with it. And that was also, I tried it on just the free Wi-Fi within the Airbnb I was staying to see if.
And what happened then? When you had the local Wi-Fi, what did that do?
I did not have any problems.
Oh.
I will say I didn't listen to a lot of streaming music at that point, but I was just listening to podcasts and things like that.
At that point, it knows you're in the Czech Republic.
Right.
Oh, that's good to know that it didn't mess it up.
Right. No. Yes. It works. It works fantastic for me over there. So it worked. The experiment was a pass.
Yay! Now the next question is which Echo to bring with you, because the original Dot speaker isn't great. Which one do you have?
So I've got So I've got 3 of the Dots, and I've got the larger. Do
you have the hard plastic outside or the kind of fabric outside?
So I've got 3 of the hockey puck.
Yep.
Hard plastic, and then I've got a taller, where it has the better internal speaker.
Right.
That's one I have in my bedroom.
I
took the little small one.
You took the small one, yeah. The third generation Dot supposedly sounds better. That's the one they're selling right now. That's the one with fabric. This is a great tip. I really appreciate your doing the homework for us. Thank you. Have a great day, John. Our car guy, Sam Abuelsamid, coming up. The only thing that was weird. Now, Sam, did you get to play with it a little bit? Did you get to play with it at all, Sam? Oh, why don't I hear you? Are you muted or am I muting?
Yeah, no, I was muted.
You're muted. Okay.
I did get to go for a ride in it.
So it has no door handles.
Yeah. So on the front, on both doors, there's a push button. And you push the button, and the door pops out a little bit. And on the front doors, there's a little handle you can pull.
Yeah,
and then on the back doors, you just pull it out. It'll pop out a couple inches, and you pull it out.
And since it's keyless, it's a phone. It pairs to your phone. In theory, as you walk up, it would open for you, right?
Yeah. So you can use the key as a phone. So you can use use Bluetooth LE with your phone to unlock it. So as you approach it, it should automatically unlock.
So you don't need a key fob. Yeah, I'm sure you have one. But if you lose it or you leave it at home, your phone is everything you need.
Right. And in fact, because it's a Ford, the other thing that Ford has that's unique that nobody else has is their keypad system on the door jamb on the driver's side door on the window frame. So you can punch in a 5-digit code and unlock the car.
Oh, so that's smart.
So that way, if your phone is dead, you
lose your fob, you can still get in.
Or you lose your fob, you can still get in. And then once you get in, even if that won't let you start the car, but it'll let you unlock it. So then once you get in the car, you can plug in your phone, and then you can use your phone as the key to start it.
I saw it has USB A and C charge ports. I love that. That makes me happy.
Everybody's doing USB-C on all the new cars.
I like the wireless. So it's got a little wireless pad. I can put my phone in there. Mm-hmm. And I did not know that, but I'm thrilled to see that you can do wireless CarPlay and Android Auto too. So I could just you get in, put your phone on the charger, you're gone.
Yep, that's actually something that's starting this year on some of the models this year. The new Lincoln Corsair has wireless Android Auto and CarPlay, and other models coming next year will have it as well.
I just like buying what looks like the equivalent of my Model X from a real car company with dealerships. I'm going to pick it up at Henry Curtis Ford up the road, and so there'll be somewhere to take it. They'll probably have a parts department with actual parts.
Yep, and you'll be able to get parts in less than 6 months. So
I really love Tesla, and I was glad that I supported them in the early days. But now it's time. Now that everybody else is following suit, they primed the pump. And I think
if it wasn't for Tesla, we probably wouldn't have a car like this. You wouldn't have things like the e-tron and the new Mini E that debuted in LA.
This seems like the best of all of this second generation of electric. They're not doing they call them compliance cars anymore.
Right.
This seems like the best, even better than the e-tron, frankly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's got much more range than the Audi and the Jaguar do. Yeah. The top end models will have over 300 miles of range.
Yeah.
So they've really done their homework with this one. And
excited.
The funny thing is they actually started developing a new EV back in 2016, in the middle of 2016. And then in the fall of 2017, after Jim Hackett took over as CEO, when he took over as CEO in May of 17, they completely reevaluated all their product programs and totally pivoted their electrification program and started from scratch.
Yeah. But they had the experience with the previous ones. So that's the other thing. I'm nervous about anybody's first electric vehicle, but this is far from Ford's first electric vehicle. So
right.
I ffeel like they at least know a thing or two. I think the styling's quite nice. I don't mind the styling at all.
Yeah, most people like the way it looked. Yeah. The only concern was just whether or not it should be called a Mustang.
Yeah, well, we could talk about that. As a former Mustang guy, I don't have a problem with that. I think in a way it's good because it gets people to pay attention to it. So that's the real benefit of it. It's time for Sam Abuelsamid, our car guy, principal researcher at Navigant Research. Podcast is Wheel Bearings at wheelbearings.media. I think after all my hand-wringing about the Porsche Taycan, the Jaguar I-Pace, the e-tron from Audi, the Mini, I finally think I've settled, because I have a year before I need to buy the next car. Our lease runs out on Christmas of 2020. I think I'm excited about the new Ford, dare I say, Mustang Mach-E.
Yeah, this was the big reveal last Sunday. Actually, it leaked out a couple days early because there's some mistakes that the company that runs Ford's consumer website. But this is the Mustang Mach-E. It's Ford's first dedicated electric vehicle. And as I was just saying off the air, in the fall of 2017, Ford had already been developing a new dedicated EV before this. But in the fall of 2017, they took a look at all their product programs, their new product programs, and decided that they needed to do something really different to succeed in the EV space. They needed to, rather than doing what they refer to as compliance cars, doing an EV that is pretty basic, for all intents and purposes, the Chevy Bolt is kind of, as good as it is kind of a compliance car. They, instead of creating something that was more basic that they had to do to meet regulatory requirements, what they did instead was they decided to follow the Tesla model and create something that was really going to excite customers.
That people would want.
Something that would draw customers into the market for a Ford EV. And they decided, the way to do that would be to call it a Mustang. And, then by doing that, they inspire the engineers and the designers to really create an electric vehicle that has the characteristics that people love in a Mustang. So it's fast, it's stylish. Unlike traditional Mustangs, it's also roomy inside. But it's got some of the Mustang design DNA to it, and I've got a chance to ride in it last week, and I've been talking to the engineers and designers there for several weeks before the LA Auto Show, and I think that I'm cautiously optimistic that Ford is going to be really successful with the Mach-E.
Yeah. Now, I think we've got to give credit to Elon Musk and Tesla for really creating this market, for making cars people wanted. And as a Tesla owner, and by the way, a former Mustang owner, I had a beautiful bright red 5.0 GT that I loved. But I'm ready for a nice car. I like the Bolt, and then we own that too. But I also want something made by a major manufacturer. Tesla's a ride.
Yeah.
In both the good and the bad way.
Yeah. And that's why this car exists the way it does. They looked at the Tesla playbook and they looked at what has made Tesla successful at selling EVs, more EVs than anybody else. And that whole idea of creating something stylish, cool, high tech. And they basically took all the best parts of what Tesla's done, and Tesla deserves absolute credit for making the idea of EVs cool. And there's a reason why they've sold more EVs than anybody, and because they are cool, they're cars. And Ford said, okay, we can do that too. And on top of that, we can bring the things that we're traditionally good at, like building cars and providing customer service and parts and all these other things, and meld the best of both worlds. And that's what they've tried to do with this car. And as long as they, execute on that properly and have a smooth launch, then it'll be good. And the name Mustang has been kind of controversial over the past week.
A lot of people who think of Mustang as a kind of a muscle car, a big gas engine with a throaty rumble, are saying this isn't a Mustang. Doesn't even look like a Mustang.
Yeah, well, in terms of overall performance, the top end model of this, the performance is going to be comparable to a traditional Mustang. The top end model, the GT, is going to go 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds, which is about on a par with the latest Shelby GT500, which has 160 horsepower.
Yeah,
that's okay, and it's considerably cheaper and cleaner than a GT500. And to what Eric Duckman was saying in the chat room, the next Mustang is not going to be an SUV. The thing that people have to remember.
This is a crossover. That's one of the things people don't like about it. It's not a sports car. It's a crossover.
Right, and the thing that people have to remember is that Ford is not killing the traditional Mustang. It's not like back in the late 1980s when they thought about replacing the Mustang with a little front-wheel drive coupe. Ugh. The classic Mustang is staying with us. In fact, there's an all-new generation coming in 2022, about a year or so after this one comes to market, that is going to retain that classic layout. Still going to be internal combustion. There'll probably be a hybrid version of it, but that's. The traditional Mustang, for those that want it, is still going to be around, and this is just expanding the lineup of what is badged as a Mustang.
I'm pretty excited about it. I put down the reservation, $500 reservation. Of course, it's refundable, so it's not really a hard commitment. But I want to get in line to get in fact, I put down the reservation for what they call the first edition, which is the longer range with the and I don't know why, maybe I'm wrong, but I like all-wheel drive. And this has
nothing wrong with having all-wheel drive, for a little extra traction, especially when the weather gets bad. If you're driving into the mountains where you might encounter some snow, it's good to have that.
Yep.
And
I'm not getting that grabber blue. That's the silliest color ever. I guess that's a Mustang.
Well, it's a traditional Mustang color from the late 1960s.
Yeah, I remember it.
And they bring it back every few years, usually for a year or two, and they're doing it only on the launch edition or the first edition of the Mach-E. The other trim levels will not have grabber blue available.
Now, we should mention Tesla's got a Model Y that is a similar vehicle. That's coming out also next year in 2020. And I can't let you go without just asking you about the Cybertruck, which is Elon's announcement this week about a truck that looks like a vehicle designed for war, to be honest with you, with milled stainless steel body. He claimed unbreakable windows, proved himself wrong almost immediately, but that's Elon.
Yeah, those are the kinds of demos you don't really want to be doing live on stage. He had his chief designer, Franz von Holzhausen, throw a big steel ball bearing about the size of a baseball at the window, which was, as he said, supposed to be unbreakable, bulletproof, and smashed the window.
Yeah.
And said, well, that's not right. Let's try that again. So he did it on the window of the rear door and did the same thing.
And Elon had to do the rest of the unveil with 2 broken windows behind him, and you could see it threw the hell out of him. He kept looking back at it. It was not a good thing. On the other hand, it really looks like an interesting truck. He's taking a lot of orders for it. He claims, there's no way this is the case, it's going to come in at what, 40,000, 30,000?
Starting at 40,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then going up to about 70 for a loaded model for the high-end model. We'll see if and when they ever actually build any $40,000 versions, though.
They never did it for the Model 3. Hey, what is the Ford Mach-E? What is the price range on that?
Base price, the price range goes from $45,000 to about $65,000, and Ford is still eligible for the full $7,500 federal tax credit, plus whatever, depending what state you're in, you might have some state incentives, and that'll be good. Ford should hit the 200,000 sales mark about sometime in the middle of 2021. So about the first year, you'll be able to get the full tax credit before it starts phasing out. Yeah.
I'm never going to buy another gas vehicle. We're on our last one. When we turn that in, the lease ends at the end of the year. It'll be all EV for us. We've got the Bolt.
There's lots of great choices coming.
I love it. And for we have solar panels in the house. It's easy. We're in California, so it's not challenging. And Ford, by the way, we should mention, is going to use Electrify America. So you'll have quite a few places you can fast charge it as well. Thank you, Sam Abuelsamid. He is wheelbearings.media for his podcast. It's well worth a listen and joins us every week to talk cars. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I wish you were here, Sam.
Yeah.
Man, I wish you were here. It'd be fun to have you here all the time. This is the color I bought. I think that's a good color.
I saw one in that color. It's really good.
It's not.
I like it.
It's not quite matte, but it's a little matty, and then it has these nice. I don't know what ActiveX is. It's clearly not leather, but it has these nice seats.
Oh, that's something I didn't mention. All of the interior materials are animal free.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's a vegan leather.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, and that's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that.
And it feels like leather, but it should actually be more durable and easier to clean.
Yeah.
One other thing, you notice the little knob on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
there's actually a physical volume knob there.
I think that's a good idea.
I do too. I think there should be more knobs.
It's a little weird because it's a screen.
For the fan speed.
It's similar to the Tesla, a little smaller than the Tesla screen. And it's a little weird. I think it's a 15-inch screen instead of 17, but it's
15 and a half. So it's slightly larger than what's in the Model 3 and Model Y.
Right. I love the dual
smaller than the
screens, by the way, and I love the clean dash. I think they've really done a nice job. And I think that physical knob makes a lot of sense.
Well, what's really interesting about the way they did that knob, it came up with a creative new way to do it. So there's no actual wired electrical connection between the knob and the system.
Right.
The knob is bonded onto the screen, is glued onto the screen, and there's a capacitive interface. So when you twist the knob, it's just the same as if you were using your finger right on the screen to draw circles.
So it's really for a driver so that they can quickly and easily turn the volume up, or what I imagine also do temperature and other things. But
the temperature controls they're persistent on either side in that lower portion of the screen.
Right. So it's just volume, that knob. It's not a selector knob.
Volume, and there might be a few other things that it can do as well.
Yeah. Remember, we don't know. This is a year off, so.
Yeah, so we saw. I got a chance to play around with it, but it's not quite finished yet. But it does support wireless Android Auto and CarPlay.
I love that. So you put your phone right here. These are wireless chargers. And then you don't have to put a cable or anything. It's charging and it's driving the display. I think this is brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah. It's a really nice interface that they came up with for this Sync 4 system. And then you have the vehicle stuff right in front of you.
This does look, I have to say, if I close, the peripheral vision, this looks a lot like my Pony car did. This is not too far off. It's exactly the same armrest there. The mirrors look similar.
And that was intentional.
Yeah. I mean, I think if, and I love the idea I could fold those back seats down and get cargo capacity. And nobody could sit in the back seats of my Mustang. I mean, it was too small.
No, this one, there was three of us, 3 adult males sitting in the back seat of this, and we had plenty of headroom.
Nice.
We were, shoulder to shoulder, but it was comfortable. You can put 3 people in the back without any problems. Lots of leg room.
Yeah.
So, and the front trunk.
I love it.
I
love it. It's got a frunk.
It's big enough
with
to actually hold. They were demoing it with an Away suitcase, the larger carry-on that they have.
I have an Away.
And it fit in there along with a backpack and a couple other things in there, or you could put several bags of groceries in there.
Well, the cool thing, it's plastic lined with a drain, so if you put wet stuff, like your, like your fishing tackle,
go to the beach or something,
perfect.
Or if you want to have a tailgate party at a football game, you can just fill it with ice and adult beverages.
Isn't that a cool idea?
Yeah.
Oh man, I had a checklist. I put it on the Twit community site of all the things I was looking for. It hit every single thing I was looking for in my next car. So I had to order it. Thank you so much, Mr. Sam.
No problem.
Have a good one.
Talk to you next week.
Next week. Take care.
Yep. All right. Bye.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. As a Tesla owner, former Tesla owner, and as a longtime EV guy, and I've read every book about Elon and Tesla. One of the things I think that characterizes what Tesla does is it's not like a car company; it's much more like a software company. And if you think about it, our software, they ship it, but then they revise it all the time. It's always being updated. It's always being fixed, and it's different. And in software, a lot of times you try stuff, doesn't work. Okay, we'll try something else. That is both the success and the failing, I think, of Tesla. it's successful because you're getting over-the-air updates all the time and things are being fixed, but things are also being broken. And honestly, with a car, I think our expectations are a little different from a point of view of safety and reliability, if nothing else. So my wife always said this. When she'd get in the Model X, she says it's a beta. And I say, yeah, it kind of is a beta. It's a beta version of a car. And while I enjoyed it and I loved supporting it, and I'm really glad that Tesla did what they did because it's really kind of jump-started an entire EV revolution, I'm kind of glad to be getting a car from somebody that is an actual car company, you know? I think that seems like a good idea at this point in the evolution. Jack is in Stone Mountain, Georgia, our next caller. Hi, Jack.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Yes, sir.
My mom is moving into a assisted living facility that has Wi-Fi available to all the residents, and it also has an Ethernet port in the room. And
wow, that is a nice facility. That's great.
Yeah, it's very nice. And what I wanted to do, though, was set up a wireless access point so she could have her own Wi-Fi.
Good.
And I was looking at the Netgear AC1200.
Excellent.
And it has 4 ports on it.
You don't want it to go beyond her room, do you? I mean, you just want her, when she's in her room, she has her own Wi-Fi. She's not on everybody else's. And so you're going to use that Ethernet jack. I mean, technically she will be, but because she'll have her own router, she'll be separated from the rest of the world, which I think is not a bad idea.
Is that a router, or is it just an access point?
That's a router access point. And anything you buy really is going to be a router access point. You wouldn't buy just an access point. Doesn't do any routing. It doesn't do any. It's just basically an antenna. And that Netgear is actually, unless it says it's an access point. If it does,
no, it does. It says it's the Netgear AC1200 dual band wireless access point, WAC 104.
I'll have to look at it because most of the time these things do routing, and if it does routing, that's what you kind of want. Oh, I see. It's managed. What does that mean? I don't even know. In their context. Yeah, okay. So it looks like it's not a router. That's fine. If it were a router, it would provide a little more security for her because, and I presume the reason you want to put this in her room is because you'd like her to have some isolation from the rest of the users.
That and to hook up her Alexa devices.
Right.
And hook up her Alexa that has the screen so she can see who's at the doorbell over at her house. She has the Ring doorbell.
Oh, this is great. Now, one of the things, I think it does do routing because I notice it also supports, well, it's hard to tell. It supports remote management, which is another reason this is a good thing for you to get because you can manage this from your house and control it completely. If it's not a router, it's not going to isolate her as thoroughly as you might like from the rest of the network. She'll just be another device on the network.
Okay. Well, that was the question. I was thinking whether or not I needed a switch in between the port coming out of the wall and this device. No, you probably don't. I mean, it depends what they're doing there, and you probably want to run this by them anyway. But if it's just Ethernet that's the same internet as the Wi-Fi, then you just plug it right into the back of this and you'll be fine. She'll have a little better speed probably because her access point will be right there. And as you point out, you now have extra Ethernet jacks you can plug the other stuff into if you want. I think this is actually a clever idea. And the main reason this is a good solution for you and your mom is you can manage it. Okay. It supports remote management, which is, I think, really great. So, yeah, I think this is a good choice. The lady, the administrator there at the assisted living facility said somebody else put in a router, and they were always getting each other's IP address. Yeah. So they did a router that was doing DHCP. Yeah. And And so
yeah, so what's happening, and this would be a problem with yours as well, is other residents might join her access point. So that's what would be happening, what must have happened. It's a simple thing to fix. Just turn on a password, WPA. And then no other resident will be able to join it, and then you won't have this problem.
Right. No, that's...
Routers don't route outbound, they only route inbound. So I think that was a case of the other residents joining this other router, and that's not what you wouldn't want that anyway.
Well, it was actually the administrator's computer. They were fighting back and forth on, one would grab the IP.
Oh.
And the other one.
Well,
the other one had
that would be an interesting issue if that Ethernet, that sounds like that Ethernet, they need to have that Ethernet jack be on the inside of their network, not on the outside of their network. So maybe they haven't wired it properly. That Ethernet should not be connected directly to their cable modem or whatever their internet access. It should be connected to the router that's providing Wi-Fi so that it gets its own IP address, its local IP address, not one from the ISP. It sounds like that's what it's, so they may have it misconfigured. You can help them. You can help them. You can say, hey, let me just show you how this should be. Say, can I see your wire closet? Because maybe what they've done is, sometimes this happens, you get a cable modem that has multiple Ethernet jacks. I know my business class cable modem has multiple Ethernet jacks. Well, if I plug a Wi-Fi access point into one of them, the cable modem is going to provide it with the IP address. But if I apply put another thing in there, they may get confused and say, well, I don't know who should be the official Ethernet address. So you always want a router, and then any Ethernets in the house or the facility that are coming into guest rooms should be coming from the router, not from the cable modem directly.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
And I had one other question. I have a Samsung Note 8, and in fact, you helped me out with an app on it for doing a list view.
Yeah.
When you press, and that actually worked out great. It was a skinny list. It was a skinny list that I needed, and that did exactly what I wanted. But now my Note 8, the battery is starting to go down. It's a little over 2 years old. And I was considering several things, one being getting a Note 10.
Love it.
Getting the battery replaced on this Note 8, or I was looking at the Samsung A50.
The A50 is a lower-end device. If you have a Note now, you'll want to get the Note 10. But the most economical thing to do would be to bring it to an authorized repair center. You want to get Samsung or somebody Samsung trusts to put the new battery in. These are sealed in, so it has to be done properly.
Right.
And you also want a Samsung battery. You don't want some weird third-party battery, because those are where you get trouble. But I think a lot of people, this isn't that old a phone. It's a couple of years old. If you like your Note 8, you get another 2 years out of it by putting a battery in. Shouldn't cost you more than $100. I think that might be the most economical solution. On the other hand, I love the Note 10. It's really nice. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches. You know the litany, you know the list, all the stuff with chips in it. Our technology show every week. Answer your questions, talk about tech. There's so much to talk about. There's always something interesting. It's one of the reasons I love doing Tech Talk, and I've been doing it for 30 years now. Man, think about it. The kinds of changes that have happened since I started doing this. Has it been 30 years? Almost. 1992, I started doing Tech Talk only. But I was doing it even maybe in the 80s. So I guess more than 30 years, writing about technology, all that stuff. We've seen some big changes. The thing is, it happens so gradually, you're not even aware of it. Think about ATMs, for instance. When's the last time you went into a bank? Unless you have some specifically different kind of needs. Kids, you might not remember this. You may not know this. But Dad used to have to go into a bank to get money. You had to go in and you had to go to the teller and say, please give me some money. I forgot about that. The ATM makes it so easy now. Although the next thing, and kids are going to say in a few years, what's money? Right? There are already stores that won't take cash. And with touch to pay, things like the Apple Watch and the credit cards where you just tap them and the phones, I suspect cash has a dim future. And there's mixed feelings about that. If in many countries, if you go to China, for instance, you really need to have to set up an electronic payment system, Alipay or the like, because many places no cash, don't take cash. Here's the one kind of big issue with that. And again, this comes down to there are people out there who are hardcore privacy advocates. And they say, well, if every transaction's electronic, then every transaction is knowable, is in a database somewhere. You won't be able to buy a stick of gum without, and they usually say the government, but somebody knowing you bought a stick of gum. Cash is anonymous. When you go into a store and you lay down $5 for a pack of cigs, no one knows you're smoking. But in the near future, it's conceivable insurance companies could say, oh, you just bought a pack of cigarettes, or you just bought a vape pen. We're going to raise your rates. That's the thing I think people most worry about. Then maybe not most, but that's certainly the harm that is most likely. The idea that the government is going to say, oh, yeah, we know who has cigarettes. I don't know. I'm not worried about. I'm not afraid of our government to that degree yet. In China, the Chinese government, I'm sure, loves the idea that there's no cash. They love it that they're a cashless society because they can track everything. What's changed is our computers are so powerful, our hard drives are so large, our database is so big that we can now, we couldn't do this until recently, store every transaction, every email, every phone call, everything everybody does, and search it. And that's why privacy advocates are getting a little skittish, a little antsy. We suddenly have this capability. But honestly, I love the idea of not carrying around cash. I just think that's a great idea. I don't want it. It's dirty, it's old, it's inconvenient. Tap to pay everywhere. What do you think? $8888 Ask Leo. Let's get back to the phones. Paul in Louisville, Kentucky. Hello, Paul. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, how you doing, Leo?
I'm great. How are you?
Just fine. Before I ask you my security question about email, I thought maybe I would ask the chat group there something that'd be pertinent to them, because a lot of times when I have a tech question that I'm not available, you're not available to answer, I was wondering if they could recommend like a chat that would be good for tech questions. Or,
there are so this is a really interesting question to ask, because first of all, I think a lot of people go, what's chat? So we use a very old form of chat. It's so old, it actually predates the World Wide Web. It's called Internet Relay Chat, or IRC. And we have an IRC client running all the time, 24/7 at irc.twit.tv. Now, it's a general chat. It's focused around the radio show and the podcasts that I do. Yeah. But you can go in there. Almost everybody in there is a tech enthusiast for obvious reasons. So you could go in there. But there are chats for every other possible topic under the sun. You say you want a general chat.
Well, I wanted a question about tech questions.
Right. But if you could say, I have a question about routers, there will be somewhere an IRC chat room about routers. If you go to irc.twit.tv and switch from the Twit Live channel, which is the channel for people watching the shows, to the hashtag help desk channel, that is a place people go for generalized tech help. That's what we do. But there are other places too. In fact, I have to point out, IRC is no longer kind of the place to go for this kind of stuff. For years, open source projects, programming languages, tech of all kinds has used IRC, but they've mostly moved now to a very similar technology called Discourse. So what I would do if you want help, tech help, is it's kind of like Googling. You don't just Google tech help. You Google your specific. I would Google, if I want router help, I would Google router help chat channels. And I bet you'll find some. There's quite a few of them.
Here, I did that with this particular question.
So let me ask the question. We can see if the chat can help you, and if not,
okay, right. The question is, in the past, I've been able to open a M3U playlist file in a text editor and then copy that address into a browser, and then I could download that MP3, but it doesn't work anymore.
M3Us are the playlist format for MP3s.
Exactly, but it said, I Googled that, and it said, copy that into a text editor, okay? And then paste that into a browser, and I used to be able to do that, and it doesn't work anymore. Also, if I try to open it in, like, say, VLC player, it'll say it needs a plug-in, and I can't find that plug-in that it needs.
So let me explain what's going on here. M3U doesn't have to be a URL. It could just be a list of MP3s. In the early days, that's what it was. But lately, because people stream content frequently, it is a URL, that is a web address. Now, what's coming up out of that web address may or may not be something a browser can play. Remember, it's not designed for a browser. It's designed for an MP3 player. So you mentioned VLC. That's the way to play it, is VLC. You could try it in iTunes or Winamp or some other device, but I would start with VLC. It's a free program. It's short for Video LAN Client. You'll find it at videolan.org. The VLC player. Now, if you get that message, well, we need a plugin, it means whatever stream you're pasting in there is sending content in a format VLC doesn't understand. Now, that's really unusual because VLC is one of the reasons I recommend it. It supports a huge amount of stuff. What it may not support, I'm suspecting it won't support, is an HLS stream. So I wonder if that's what you're getting. You're getting something it doesn't play. Try Winamp. There are other players. Try other players, your Windows Media Player, if you're on Windows, iTunes, if you're on Mac. Paste that URL in, see if they can play it. If it's what you got to figure out is, well, what is at the other end of this URL? What format of file am I getting? And you've got to get the plugin that'll play it back. Generally, if you see it in an M3U file, it'll be playable by VLC. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're trying to play back. And maybe it'll take a little detective work to figure out. You know where that source of that material is. Go to that site and see what they're sending the material in. That's probably the best way to do it. Time to take a break. When we come back, more of your calls. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, coming up. And here's some good news. Scott Wilkinson will give you home theater Black Friday deals later in the show. Hello there, Mr. Marquardt.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing good.
I am using, finally, your 1,000 photos in an hour technique.
Really?
Yes, I had to. I had 1,000 photos.
and you were happy that the ebook is only 39 pages long.
Oh, my God. So, my work.
There's an audio book. There's an audio version that I recorded.
I thought it was video.
You could listen to that on the drive.
Yeah, no, I think I have. But but the thing is, as you know, I've known your method, but I've never applied it because I'm lazy.
Sure.
But this time I said, for one thing, I took so many pictures, and now and what I was doing as I was going is I was backing the RAWs up to my iPad, which meant they were in my Apple Photos, which meant they were in my Google Photos. So now I have all of the rejects in both places, and I just said, I don't want to see all those photos.
A lot.
That's too much. So I used, because Lightroom's really slow for RAW, these 61 megapixel RAWs, but Fast RAW Viewer works really well and is fast. So I don't know. Have you ever tried this? It's on the Mac. I think there's a Windows version. It's very cheap. I think it's $30 or $40, but it has a really good raw renderer, and it's super fast. Boom, boom, boom.
So
boom,
do you do some pre-processing with that, or?
Nope. I don't do any processing at all. I just do reject.
That's what I mean. You do the sorting.
That's what I do the sorting with. Yep.
The pre-sorting.
And I've modified your system a little bit. I have 3 categories. 0, reject. 1 is it's okay to be in the photo frame. In other words, it's like, memories just for us. 2 is Flickr, because that's like, okay. 3 is portfolio / smug mug. It's like, this is so good, I got to share this with a real photographer.
So what is 4 and 5?
There's no 4 and 5. No,
okay.
No photo is that good. None
as
of
long
mine.
as it works for you, that's totally okay.
None of my photos are that good. So, and then the nice thing about Fast Raw Viewer is you have move everything to the rejected folder. And you can say, okay, I want to move all the 3s to Lightroom, and it'll just import those ones only into Lightroom.
So it integrates with Lightroom Classic?
Perfect. It's perfect.
That's cool.
And it works great. So now, what you don't mention, and I forgot, is then you have to go through the keepers and process and make them look good.
Of course.
And that's a pain in the ass. But I've been doing it over the few evenings. I'm almost halfway done. And you know what? The result has been great. And then I'm going to delete all of the
Doesn't it feel good if you have that? If you have the knowledge that there is an order in the pictures, that everything is at its place, that you can find stuff later.
And they look so much better. Frankly, the good ones really do look good. Anyway, I got to go. Talk to you in 10. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you, Lady Laura, our musical director. Just such great stuff. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number. Here's a great question from our chat room, and I do not know the answer, but I bet a little research will help us figure it out. Who came up with 33 1/3? Right? The first records were 78 revolutions per minute. Then there were 45s. That's not a divisor of 78. 33 1/3 isn't either, is it? No. Multiply that times 3 and you got 100. I don't know why the standard for records is 33 1/3. I don't know. Maybe somebody will know. 8888, ask Leo. That's the phone number. And maybe you know. This is the kind of weird stuff people ask in the chat room. It is a good place to go to get help. There is a lot of chat help online. And I should point out, almost all the time when you get chat help, it's not from the creator of the software or the hardware. It's usually from fans. People who love it enough to spend time in a chat room talking about it and helping people. I'll tell you, for programming languages, every programming language there is has a chat room, whether it's Discord or IRC, but they have a chat room of some kind where people just leave it running as they're coding. It's a great way to get some help with your, as you're learning how to code. I bet there are photography chat rooms out there. I bet there's all kinds of chat rooms out there and they're for the really hardcore enthusiasts. And who better to ask a tough question of, right? We love our chat room, irc.twit.tv. And there is a help desk channel in there. I don't know how helpful it is, but it's there. It's a good place to start. Grant, St. Paul, Minnesota is our next caller. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Grant.
Hi, good afternoon, Leo.
Good afternoon. Welcome. What can I do for you?
So, I been riding my e-trek lately that I told you about me getting on a previous call. But that has caused a new problem.
Uh-oh.
I've been able to go to my parents' house, and they've been asking me for tech help.
Of course they are. Get ready, because this is Tech Help Week. Everybody going home for Thanksgiving, the first thing you're going to get is, I'm having trouble with this printer. Can you help me? That's inevitable.
So my mom was asking me 2 separate questions.
Okay.
One, her printer, the yellow color is out of ink.
Yep.
And she can't print even if it's just black things. She can't print at all.
That always annoys me, because if I'm printing a black page, I don't care if I don't have any yellow, but a lot of printer manufacturers set it up so that if even one cartridge is empty, oh no, you got to get a whole new cartridge. That frustrates me.
So I should try and figure out if she can...
She's just going to go to the office supply store and get a new cartridge, even on Amazon.
Yeah.
My habit generally with cartridge printers, because they do run out a lot, is to order a set of replacement cartridges and always have it ready. And when I use one or all, I immediately order another set. So because inevitably it's going to run out in a print job. So it's nice to have a second set there all the time. The only problem with that policy is when you retire the printer, now you'll have one extra set of cartridges. So that's kind of annoying. Now, we advertise, of course, Epson's EcoTank printers. They also run out of ink, but they don't do it as often because the tanks are much, much larger. I don't know if you've ever looked at an ink cartridge, but it's not full of ink. There's a sponge in that, and inside, and the sponge is holding the ink. There's probably not more than a couple of tablespoons of ink in an ink cartridge. The tanks on the Epson EcoTank printers, I don't know how much they hold, but it's many ounces. I think that I once read it's like 100 ink cartridges worth, something like that. So that's another solution. But that also is more expensive, remember, because you're buying the ink ahead of time. It's not more expensive than buying cartridges. They're much more expensive, not to mention all the landfill and all the issues with that. So that's one thing to look at. Do your parents print a lot?
Yeah, far more than I do. I don't print at all, so I don't really...
I know, most of us have stopped. Most of us are paperless these days. But occasionally you have to print. Yeah, you could look at that. The lowest cost per page printer, and they're not as expensive as they used to be, is a laser printer. And they have also the advantage you can get large toner cartridges that will go for thousands of pages. The lasers don't do great color, but if what they're doing is black and white, mostly, then that might be also a good solution.
Yeah, she prints a lot of color. That's why they...
Oh, yeah, then you need an inkjet. Yeah.
And then she can't even print it black.
Yeah. I know, it's really annoying. Who makes that printer? Because I want to yell at them.
Epson.
Oh. Epson! I think that's why they've really moved away from cartridges. They still make some inkjet cartridge printers, but they really, as you can tell if you listen to the ads, are promoting the EcoTanks.
She was trying to figure out, go with Epson-branded cartridges or...
I always go with the manufacturer's cartridge, even though they are more expensive. But that's just my prejudice. Some companies, Epson does not do this. Some companies won't let you use third-party cartridges. They put a chip in there, and they do copy protection, in effect. Epson does not do that. So you can use off-brand cartridges, or, if you want to save the landfill, if you want to be more eco-friendly, you can do refilled cartridges. And honestly, I have done that in the past. It's hit or miss. Some companies do a really good job, use quality ink. Sometimes they don't use quality ink, and the risk of that is you could damage the printer. It could get clogged up with this bad ink. So I'm a big fan of EcoTank. I have 2 of them. I know they're an advertiser, so you're going to say, "Oh, Leo, come on. We know you're just flogging it for Epson." But no, I really do like these. And I think if your parents print a lot, it's more economical in the long run. It's just the upfront cost because you're buying 2 years worth of ink up front. So sometimes people go, what, it's $100 more. I could get this $90 printer. Yeah, but the reason that printer is $90 is you're going to be buying ink cartridges in a month, $200 worth. So I think the EcoTanks really solve a big problem, not to mention the waste of all of those plastic cartridges.
Yeah, the other question she was trying to figure out is her TV reception.
Oh,
yeah, I never watched broadcast
TV. Man, they're living in the past. Hold on a second. I got to take a break. We've got our photographer, Chris Marquardt, just around the corner. We're going to talk photography, digital photography in a bit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, on Thanksgiving Help Week. I forgot. This is when everybody goes home. This is when everybody gets to help their folks. So what was the antenna question?
They live in a low-lying area. So, and there's a big... Oh,
yeah. So there's hills between them and the towers.
So, but their living room is on the first floor. That's where their TV is.
Right.
So they can't get any reception for much of the time.
How do you feel about climbing up on the roof? They were good parents, but they weren't that good. Yeah, this is a problem. I mean, this is why people go to cable. We live so far from the big city that we have to be on cable. I can't use an antenna to pick up a signal to save my life. So, I mean, if they can get a higher antenna, obviously, maybe they can get line of sight. That'll help. I normally send people to a site called TV Fool. You might check this out, tvfool.com. The problem is TV Fool will tell you what reception you could expect in your area, but it doesn't take into account hills and stuff like that.
Yeah. A big concrete building right next to them, so they get marginal reception because of that. Because
it might be time if you
broadcast towers.
They have internet.
Yeah, they do.
They have good internet, like fairly decent speed.
Yeah, it works fine. I've given them a Roku to plug into the TV, but they just really like their broadcast.
Well, you might look at YouTube TV. In many areas, you can get broadcast channels. I don't know about the Twin Cities, but I bet you. The problem is it's $50 a month. So YouTube TV, there is a free solution called Lowcast. I know it doesn't work in the Twin Cities, though. It only is in a few metros. Because then you can use the internet to get your locals. Yeah, I know. They want to watch Channel 4 News and all that. Hey, if you live in St. Paul, are they in St. Paul? Where are they?
Suburb of St. Paul.
Okay, yeah. If you live in St. Paul, the local weather forecast, really important. So you want to know, should I get supplies for the week or not? So I can see why they want locals. And so they're not the ideal cord cutters because they need local news. But a number of services, PlayStation, Sling TV, YouTube TV, have locals, but they cost money, and they're getting their TV for free. It may be that you can get a better antenna, or put it on the second floor if you can get up on the roof, or put a mast in the backyard with an antenna on it. You might be able to do that. So apparently, YouTube TV does have has locals in every city, so you should be able to get it.
Yeah. One thing we were thinking was try to use the cabling through the walls to the second floor.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I'm not an expert on that. You're a very good son. You're a very good son. That's all I can say. I don't know what the solution. Nexus Nick says PlayStation's getting rid of View. Really? They're turning that off, huh? Wow. I mean, that's why people have cable, but you got to pay for it, right? The nice thing is with broadcast, it's free. Yeah, I did miss that. Wow, that's too bad. Not that we've got so many other choices. I like YouTube TV. I really think that's good. They're shutting down View. Yes. Oh, yes. Fast photo guy. Beginning and end. Beginning and end. All right, here we go. Chris Marquardt's here. He is a brilliant photographer, leads many photo workshops, a great way to get better at photography, and is the host of a number of the best photography podcasts, including Tips from the Top Floor. Hello, Chris Marquardt.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Winter is upon us. Well, not quite, but it's getting colder, and that's one of my favorite times of the year.
Are you getting snow at the Viewfinder Villa?
Not now, but there's always a chance. Sure.
Soon.
Sure.
So let's get ready for winter photography.
That's exactly what I want to talk about, because now is the time. I mean, winter officially only starts end of December, but hey, it can snow. It hasn't yet, but here in Germany, this is the time we put our winter tires on the cars, and I've just done that. So I'm ready. Let the snow come. And there are a few things about photography in winter that are different from the other three seasons, right? In spring, in summer, and fall, there is not this white stuff on the landscape. And what that snow does is it turns the entire thing into a more minimal kind of photography. There's lots of white. There's sometimes fog more than in other seasons. And fog in itself is amazing because it takes the background out. So you can shoot pictures of things that usually don't really work well because there's a distracting background. And with fog, that just changes into something, much more minimal. It almost looks like it's black and white. The different light does that.
Beautiful fog photographs I've seen before. I don't know where they are.
Fog is amazing.
Yeah. Are they on your Flickr?
Probably on chrismarquardt.com/photography.
Okay.
Might also be on Flickr. Sorry for not having any visuals here, but
well, it's radio. Really, I think we'll forgive you.
It turns things into this abstract, lots of things look very different. Again, very different from the 3 other seasons. So winter is kind of special.
That explains why you go to Svalbard every year, the northernmost part.
Well, in February we go back to Siberia, to Lake Baikal for the 3rd time now, and I'm looking forward to that because there it's ice, more ice than some people like. But hey, ice is beautiful. Ice is transparent. Ice does things with the light. You have a shard of ice, something that's frozen on top of a water tank or something. Hold it up, you can see abstract shapes through it and colors and things.
So beautiful. So beautiful.
Ice is just, I love it. And in winter, that's when the ice happens. The other thing I like about winter is that I'm a night owl. So getting up early for sunrise is difficult. But if you look at the weather forecast and tomorrow is in winter, there's a sunny day coming up, then hey, sunrise is later. So that's great for night owls. So you will get a later early morning shot with the beautiful light. I know that some people the gray winter weather kind of gets on their mood. I'd still say bring your camera. Don't go, nah, it's not worth it. There's nothing to photograph. Because just a few days ago, that's why I brought up fog. A few days ago, I drove in my car and it was this beautiful fog out there. I saw a landscape that looked completely different than it usually did. And I did not have my camera and I kicked myself. So
that's happened to me so many times.
Have that camera with you.
Carry it all the time. Yeah.
And if you're afraid that the camera is getting too cold in the car, that the battery is going to get too cold, you can easily have like a little film analog camera in your trunk that doesn't need a battery. So if you're into that, that would be a good way out.
Here's a beautiful picture from your trip to Japan of fog and
that's one of my favorite shots of all, because it really takes that landscape and there's nothing. When we were driving the bus and there was so much fog that I thought, yeah, sure, there's no photo. And then we stopped and got out of the bus and we saw all these reduced bits of landscape that were just disappearing into nothing. That's a photo I would print out big and hang up on a wall.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
So,
is there any trick technically to doing this?
I mean, for this, what I usually try with these minimal compositions is I try to look at them as if they were like film posters, movie posters, because in a movie poster, you need to leave a lot of space for the copy, for the title, for the different roles, for who did the camera, who's the director, and so on. So think of a photo that you want to place other things on. Yeah. Not that you have to, but that kind of emphasizes the big emptiness of things, empty negative space.
How about exposure? I know when you're shooting snow, it tends to be gray, so you have to kind of overexpose it. Is it the same with fog?
Pretty much. A bit of exposure compensation, we call that. You raise the exposure just a little bit to help it out. Just think snow usually turns gray when you shoot in automatic mode. Add a little bit to make it a bit more white.
And fog can come from a number of sources, even sulfur.
Yep. That was also somewhere in Japan. Sulfur.
These were hot springs.
Air. These were hot springs.
Yeah.
There were like lots of yellow on the ground and lots of stuff that didn't smell nice in the air.
I think I have this flaw that I'm looking for. See, you're doing fine art. I'm always looking for like the story and detail and technical, precision and color. And so a picture like that fog picture is, I go, well, that's so boring, but it's not. I have to open my mind to it.
Think movie poster. That is really, it works for a lot of photos if you think movie poster and reduce and leave space for things.
Space. Yeah. I always fill my photos with too much stuff.
Sometimes that's great. With a portrait, that can be awesome. But sometimes if you have a background that isn't too busy, then especially like in a fog situation, then that opening it up works really well.
Now, of course, eventually you'll get a style, and your style may be street photography where every picture has a story going on in it. But initially when you're shooting, you don't know what your style is. So you should try all of this to see what speaks to you.
Oh, I still do. I'm not sure I have this one single monolithic style. I think there's several things that I like: the abstract in the ice, the minimalism in the fog. But then sometimes, hey, if I'm in Siberia and Irkutsk and I'm in the middle of the road and there are people and they look interesting, then I do street photography.
You're so funny. Yeah, it's true. But I guess the word would be versatile. Whether it's a picture of monkeys in a hot tub, or
you're gonna make the best of what you see.
Yeah, you've got an eye. Chris is such an inspiration. We have a photo assignment this month. Ghost, right?
No, it's hot.
Hot. Oh, you're at H. That's right. We did
the
Ghost.
Letter H. We're progressing through the alphabet.
Hot.
H. Hot is the current.
Take a picture illustrating the concept.
There's some interesting ones.
Yeah, I upload it to Flickr, tag it TG Hot, put it in the Tech Guy group, and in a couple of weeks we'll review them. To find more of Chris's photography and about his great workshops, discover thetopfloor.com. Chris, always a pleasure. Thank you for your inspiration.
Thank you.
Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. More calls right after this.
So I downloaded Fast Raw Viewer.
Oh. Good.
Just a brief little look. Looks interesting.
I used Photo Mechanic for a long time, but this one is so fast, and they claim
it's quite zippy,
and they claim they really do a good job.
They convert the RAW, yes,
of conversion, and there are a lot of single keystroke things. Like I love it. There, if you tap J, you can see the JPEG rendering. There's a lot of, if you look in the settings, there's a lot of single keystrokes. You could see what the the
does
red
that mean
channel
I have to learn
like.
An entirely new set
No,
of
because
keystrokes
all I
now?
use it. No, all I do is 1, 2, 3, or 4.
So they copied that from Lightroom.
Yeah.
Good.
And
if
you go to Command K, you can see that you can change every keystroke too. But I do use that JPEG because sometimes I want to see. For instance, the raw rendering sometimes is weird. So if I hit J, I could see what the JPEG rendering looked like, and that's usually more like what the picture I expect is. So sometimes
you can just use the JPEG and ditch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're not. I don't know what raw engine they use. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, with that speed, I would think they use their own.
Yeah, they're doing something
because
special.
they have their individual camera support that's different from the others.
Right.
So, I would think they have written their own.
And it's a problem with 61 megapixel raw files.
Oh, they must look at the screen resolution and just use part of that data.
I don't know what they're doing.
Definitely have optimized that. Yes.
Yeah, but that's the idea. Is I can quickly go through. I used to use Photo Mechanic for this, but this is actually a little bit faster. So
that's what it feels like. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Photo Mechanic's
cool.
using the embedded JPEG, so that's maybe okay, but not as good. Anyway, thank you, Chris.
All right.
Have a great day. Take care.
Take care.
Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. Just a quick update on the MacBook Pro 16-inch, which is Apple's surprise release a couple of weeks ago, with a newly designed keyboard that is intended to respond to a lot of the complaints people had about the old keyboard, which is unreliable, hard to fix, and frankly, for many of us, and I'll include myself here, just not very fun to type on. I made a lot of mistakes in it. My fingers, just didn't get where the keys were for a long time. So Apple went back to the old switch type keys, getting away from the butterfly key that they've been using in all their laptops for the last 3 years. And I have to say, while it's not a perfect keyboard, it's not as good as, for instance, the Lenovo ThinkPad keyboards, which are spectacular, or a dedicated, third-party keyboard like my code keyboard, which I really love from, what was that? It's, I want to say wasm.com. These are really clicky, though. If I, no laptop's going to have keyboards with that kind of click and travel. But if I'm writing and doing a lot of it, man, that's the keyboard I want. But I have to say, they've improved the MacBook keyboard enough to make it a buy. And I love the speed. They have done a better thermal, cooling on it, so they can get more speed out of the i9 processor. It's roughly the same processor they shipped last year, but it performs better because it can stay cooler. The screen is gorgeous. It's a little bit bigger than the old 15 inches without being a much bigger laptop. If you want a high-end laptop, because they are expensive, I think they start at, about $2,500. If you want a high-end laptop with the potential for up to 64 gigs of RAM and 8 terabytes of SSD storage, this is a great laptop. I like Macs, and I was starting to feel a little abandoned by Apple. But they, I think, did the right thing. So if anybody's been kind of wondering about the 16-inch, yeah, it's good. It's really good. I'm very, very happy with it. And it's become my photo editing tool because it's fast enough to process my pictures in lickety-split. And that's important. You don't want to sit around waiting for it. Jacob in South Elgin, Illinois is next. Hello, Jacob. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo.
Hey, Jacob.
Hey, what's up? I was like Michelangelo, but Leo's pretty cool, too. How you doing? First time caller here. I was just wondering, I know you're from California, right?
I'm in California right now, but I was born and raised back east.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I'm from South Elgin, a little town here. Not a little town. But anyway, I'll get on with it here. I wrote down a list of stuff here, so I guess, you're going to...
Now, it's only a 3-hour show, Jacob, so try to get it all in if you can.
Yeah, okay, well... Okay,
pick one, and we'll start with that. Go ahead. Item one.
Item one, we're going to sniff the coke out of. Once you don't have cash, you don't have the straws in California, you're going to be screwed. That's item number one.
Yes, it's true. You don't make cashless purchase of illegal drugs, I guess. Maybe that's an advantage. I don't know. Yeah,
there you go. And then with the Nest, you can have the police looking out and making sure there's no buys going on. It would be great.
Yeah. I mean, this is really the trade-off. In all seriousness, this is kind of the trade-off. You don't want a surveillance state, but on the other hand, one of the reasons I believe that the Chinese people put up with their surveillance state in mainland China is because they feel safer. And as I travel, when I go to places where people feel safer, they're happier. And so this is an interesting trade-off. And I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to say, well, you got to have freedom. Even at the cost of feeling unsafe. That's not a great choice either. So I don't know what the answer is. It's a conundrum, and in a democratic society like ours, it's one we have to debate. We have to talk about. In China, they don't get the choice.
It's all balance, I guess. I guess.
Yeah.
But like as a pizza delivery driver, I walk up, I see these Nests and these that and this and
you see a lot of those cameras, don't you? Yeah. Do they bother you?
Well, no, it doesn't bother me, but I work off the books, cash tips, that kind of thing, and then my auto insurance, I didn't quite.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Driver. That's probably one of the reasons. That's probably one of the reasons governments want cashless societies, because there is, of course, a complete underground economy. I always tip in cash because I know, our pizza delivery guy and. Our manicurists don't want to pay tax on the cash tips that they get. Our waiters don't want to pay taxes. So when they get cash, they can underreport. Now, from the government's point of view, that's cheating. So I can understand why a government might want a cashless society. Somebody can tip you with Venmo. I mean, there's lots of cashless ways to tip, but then there's a record of it.
True. So,
do you hate it when somebody Venmos you or gives you money electronically? Do you dislike that?
I've never gotten that before. I mean, I get people, you can do it on a credit or the debit card.
Yeah, you don't hate that, right? You're going to have to declare it, but you don't hate it.
No, I just sort of use the pizza thing as like a hook too, because I do see them a lot. So,
no, that makes sense. Yeah,
but I know that I don't know, China. You mentioned China. Can they, sort of hack into it or work with?
Well, the government can. In fact, I read an article just this past week by a Chinese journalist talking about, he wasn't slanting it one way or the other, but he's talking about visiting the police station. I think it was in Shenzhen, one of the Chinese cities, not the main city, Beijing, but in one of the big Shenzhen, which is the industrial complex that makes Apple iPhones and a lot of our electronics, is way ahead, I think, of the rest of the country in terms of cameras and surveillance. In fact, they very famously posted pictures of jaywalkers on a billboard across a busy street. Now, they were trying to save the lives of the people walking across the street, but they were shaming them because they did face recognition of everybody crossing the street. If you were a jaywalker, they put on the billboard your picture and name and said, this person jaywalked. I think that's an interesting way to stop jaywalking. It probably was very effective. We wouldn't tolerate that, I don't think, in the United States. So this guy wrote the article. He said, I went to the police department and I said, we were talking about face recognition. And they said, we could tell you exactly where you were for the last 3 weeks. What? And because of face recognition and the vast number of cameras in the area, they pulled up, not from his cell phone records, they know that too, right? But they pulled up pictures of him at the subway stop, at the bank, at the grocery store, crossing the street, everywhere. And they said, this is where you've been over the past 3 weeks. That is intrusive. Of course, you're in public. We're starting to see this in a lot of places. I'm torn. I just, I don't know. I just got back from a vacation, and one of the places we visit was Dubai. I've also been to Singapore. In both these countries, these areas, Dubai is part of the United Arab Emirates, Singapore, its own country. They're very clean. There's no graffiti. There's no homeless problem. But the reason there's none of that is because, to one degree or another, they're a little bit of a police state. In the case of Dubai, it's only about 10% of the population is actually citizens of the United Arab Emirates. The rest of them are visiting. They don't charge income tax, so people go there to work. But if they do anything wrong, in fact, if they don't have a job, if they aren't actively employed, they get deported. They just get sent away. No homeless and very few petty crimes because it's just too risky. You'll be deported. I don't know. It works for them. And I have to tell you, the people I talk to in Dubai love it. They say it's the safest place in the world. We love it. It's not an obvious answer, is it? Oh, I did ask the women. Women love it more than men because the women feel safe. I had my guide was a single woman, and she loves it. They're on the Dubai subway, which is clean, graffiti-free, efficient, beautiful. They have the first 2 cars are for women and children only. And I asked her about that. She said, yeah, it's nice because there's so many workers here. The proportion of men to women is much higher in Dubai. So it's nice for a lot of women and their kids to use these special cars. She says, I'll use whatever car is available, but those cars are nice. It's not as obvious as we might think in the United States. Well, it's a different kind of equality. I also noticed when I was in the Dubai metro, the subway, I was in a car, one of the normal cars, and when a woman got on, the men on the seats got up to give them their seats universally. By the time my ride was over, the entire car, every seat was occupied by a woman. All the men were standing. I think that's awesome. I don't have a problem with that. Not at all. It's interesting. That's one of the reasons to travel, because you see other ways of being. And not necessarily bad. No, they're not segregated. They can sit wherever they want. They're not forced to use the female car, but they have it as an option. And she didn't. She chose not to. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, privacy, freedom, and cameras everywhere. It's 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. It's toll-free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still reach me. You just have to use Skype out or something like that to call a phone number, and since it's a toll-free number, it shouldn't cost you anything. 8888 Ask Leo. James DeRuvo took the day off yesterday. He's caught up with Saturday. He's doing Sunday. That means you can go to our website, and everything we've talked about, all the links will be there, techguylabs.com. After the fact, we put audio and video of the show up as well so that you can, if you miss a show, you can catch up all your answers, and it's free. There's no sign-up, techguylabs.com. Mike in San Diego, you're next. Hi, Mike. Leo Laporte.
Uncle Leo!
Hey, Uncle
Hello.
Mike. Nephew Mike. How are you?
How's it going, Leo?
Can we both be uncles?
Hey, I'm pretty tech savvy, but I'm kind of stumped on something. I walk into Costco and I look at these big Mac Retina displays, and I'm looking to upgrade my display I have a Windows PC. It's 5 years old. I'm going to get a new PC. But, I'm looking for maybe a 4K monitor because right now I have a 27-inch 1080 monitor.
Right.
And why is it those Mac Retinas? I know they're a little bit more than 4K. I want something that looks like that for my desktop.
I don't blame you. So what Apple's done, you're talking about what they call the 5K iMacs.
Yeah.
And those are gorgeous. I have one right in front of me. They're spectacular. But in order to do 5K, at least when these came out, they had to have a separate chipset just for the screen because there's so many pixels being pushed. And so it wasn't until recently that you could get a 5K computer monitor. But you can now. Okay. Apple doesn't make it yet. They have a new monitor coming out that will be way overpriced, the XDR. That if you really have money to spare, their new Apple stopped making monitors for years, and we're referring people to Fuji's and others. But their new XDR is a spectacular monitor, but it's designed to compete with professional monitors used by graders in filmmaking and things like that. So it's going to be really. I think it's $6,000. So
I'm not looking at gaming. And I called a couple weeks ago. I was looking at maybe getting two monitors, but I'm looking at Costco's got this 43-inch. It's a 4K monitor, and I'm thinking 43 inches is nice because
I love it. Yeah,
two monitors.
Yeah, it's side by side, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I said about 32 inches away. I'm looking at my 27-inch 1080p, and I look at my icons, I can see the pixels. So, I mean, if a Dell has a 27-inch, what they 4K, same resolution. But now I think, if you take that same resolution, you take it to 43. Is it going to be pixely or is it going to look good?
Dell actually has an 8K monitor. If you really want to go there, it's $4,000.
No, things are like $479 and less.
Yeah. So Dell, I should mention, does very nice monitors. I have nothing against them. My wife has an ultra-wide Dell. It's basically 3 monitors side by side and one curved display. She likes it because she does a lot. She's a finance person. She does a lot of spreadsheets, and so she can open multiple spreadsheets side by side, copy and paste. It's very convenient for her. So she insists she needs this giant wide screen. And it is true that multiple monitors or very big monitors sometimes can make you more productive because you can see more of what you're doing.
Correct.
The thing about Dell is they have basically 2 lines. They have an inexpensive line, which will have the same resolutions and all of that, but just be less color accurate. And then they have a more expensive line that's more color accurate. And this is why all of Apple's monitors were always more expensive, because they would individually color calibrate each of them. They were. It's not about gaming. Who cares if the alien is green or greenish? It's not. That's not important. It's about photography and video. Or any fine art. Anytime you want the reproduction of the color has to be accurate, you want a calibrated display, and more than that, a display that will give you the full color gamut. Gamut is a term used to describe how many colors a display can do and how accurate it is. And so the color gamut that is used for filmmaking and photography is called P3. So if you want if you're a photographer and you're looking why you just want a good looking display that doesn't have dots on it?
Yeah, and I'm looking at my 4-year-old iPad Pro 12.9. It's like, it just looks great.
Yeah, so, Apple's displays have always looked really good.
Okay, so but I'm wondering if I go 43 inches and it's got that resolution. I know it's not exactly 4K. I think it's a 3.
Dell has 4K inexpensive, several $100 $4K monitors. I mean, you can, if you look at Dell's monitor choice, you can really say, I want to pay this much, I want to pay that much, and all of them are uniformly excellent. What you're giving up on a less expensive one is color gamut and color accuracy. If you don't care about that, and you probably most people don't.
I'm doing word processing. I'm doing Excel.
You don't care.
Yeah. And I'm not doing gaming, and I'm not watching movies.
I think a Dell Ultra Sharp, they're very affordable. They're great monitors. I have no hesitation in recommending them. And they have any size or resolution you want. You almost certainly should get 4K. You can get the widescreen Dell 32-inch monitor for $264. I mean, they're not expensive. But you should look at what the specs are, and you should decide for yourself. But I think resolution is really important. The other term you'll sometimes hear is high dynamic range, or HDR. Movies,
and that's what they claim these are. Yeah,
if they're 4K HDR, you're going to be happy.
And the ones I'm looking at, they're 3840 by 2160.
Yeah, that's great.
But one is a Dell, which is 27-inch. One's an LG, which is 43. If you take the same resolution and go up to 43,
the dots will be bigger.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay.
The dots will be bigger. So so a 4K, a 27-inch 4K, those dots will be invisible. That's what Apple calls Retina, which means all they mean by Retina. It's their marketing term. It's a meaningless term, but what they say they mean is you can't see the dots. Okay. And Retina, depending on if it's a phone or a 27-inch display, is a different dot ratio, different dot pitch, because when you're looking at a phone, your eyes are much closer. Yeah. But the screen is much smaller. So So it's all kind of complicated. HDR just means it has a broader range between the darkest darks and the brightest brights. You do want that. High resolution 4K means the dots are smaller, but again, as you expand the size of the screen, they're going to get bigger. You don't want the so-called screen door effect. You don't want to see the dots, get the highest resolution. Now, you're sitting arm's length away. 32 inches is
about 32 inches,
That's arm's length away. I would say almost any 4K monitor, whatever its size, you're not going to see you're not going to see the dots.
Okay. Hey, Leo, I got to tell you one more thing. Hey, I was born in 1964, and I grew up on Mad Magazine.
Yeah, me too.
When you have Dickie DiBartolo on, I think that is so cool.
I know.
But because he was there during the heyday of that. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love listening to him and his stories.
I'm of that generation too. My sense of humor was formed by Mad Magazine. I remember saving my pennies and going to the drugstore and picking up the 35 cents Mad Magazine cheap. And Dick DiBartolo was in it even then. He's been in it for more than 50 years.
I know.
And when I first heard his name, he had called the TV station I was working at, Tech TV, and said, I'm a gadget guy. Are you interested in having me on the show? My producer came over to me and said, he was a young guy, some guy named Dick DiBartolo wants to be on the show. I said, what? Get him on. Because I know that name. That's a legendary name. So I am thrilled that I've known Dick now for 20 years. It is one of the greatest honors of my life. You're right. He is a hero.
I mean, that guy's the comic books what the Beatles were to music.
I agree.
During the heyday of it, baby.
He wrote most of their parodies, the film and TV show parodies. He's a brilliant, funny guy. You know what? He's the sweetest guy you ever met, too. And I've hung out with him many times in New York, and he's just great.
You have a great Thanksgiving, boss.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to start calling this week the Family Help Week, because we're all, many of us going back home for mom's apple pie and a nice roast turkey, or, you know, families visiting. And inevitably, they're going to say, hey, while you're here, I got this problem with my computer. This is Family Help Week. Be nice to your family. Help them. You know this stuff because you listen to this show. Now's the time to help them. And one little thing that I do, and I've done for years, go over to their TV and get the settings right. Turn off interpolation, you know, the soap opera effect. Maybe put it in cinema mode instead of dynamic mode. Help them with their TV. Make it look a little bit better. But tell them you did it. Otherwise, they're going to call you in a week and say, something's wrong with the TV. It's so dark. It's not bright. 8888 Ask Leo. More to come. Well, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Thank you to our wonderful musical director, Lady Laura, who is really picking some good music for us today. Back to the phones we go. Line 3, Chris, Lakewood, California. Hello, Chris.
Yeah, hi, Leo. I have a question.
Yes.
I always take your advice, and you've been dead on every single time.
Thank you.
You used to mention carbonite all the time, and I've had carbonite for quite a while, and it just expired. And I'm thinking about trying the new system that you've been mentioning, iDrive.
Yeah.
Do you recommend that?
Yeah, in both cases, Carbonite and iDrive, those are ads. I just want to be clear. And I know that it's sometimes hard to distinguish between my opinion and an ad. And one of the things I do try to do is I will turn down an advertiser, and our poor sales team knows this, that I can't get behind. I will only do an ad for something I believe in. So yes, iDrive is great. One of the things that happened with Carbonite, they bought ads for years and years on this network, and I still have a soft spot for them. But what happened with them is they decided that they wanted to go into enterprise backup as opposed to consumer backup. I think there just wasn't enough money for them in the consumer backup field. So all of our ads for the last few years for Carbonite, and they stopped advertising, I think about a year ago, were for businesses, not individuals. iDrive, while a business could use it, iDrive really is a backup solution for individuals. And one of the things I like about iDrive, Carbonite was, when you bought a Carbonite account, it was for one computer. iDrive doesn't do that. They say one account, whatever you got, back it up. See, Carbonite was saying unlimited backup, so their way of limiting it was to say, but it has to all be from the same computer. iDrive said, well, there's a limit, 5 terabytes, which, frankly, for an online backup is more than enough. But you can back up anything, but you just can't fill up more than 5 terabytes. Good luck filling 5 terabytes, by the way. I know that's a lot of data. So, yes, I have no hesitation. I tell you, my real recommendation is, whether you choose Carbonite, iDrive, or some other solution, you do need, as part of an overall backup solution, an off-site backup. Because you know, and I think you need both. I have local backup too, because local's fast, it's right there, but it's not it's not necessarily safe from ransomware, and it's certainly not safe from, a disaster like a house fire. So having an off-site backup is really important. So yes, if you've been Carbonite and you were happy with Carbonite, that's fine. Honestly, they just got acquired about 2 weeks ago by OpenText. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I do know iDrive is great, and that's what I use.
Fantastic.
Okay.
I really appreciate that.
My pleasure, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, they're advertisers, so I am extremely grateful to our advertisers because they keep the show on the air. They mean they make it possible so you can get the show for free. You can go to the website for free. I don't have to nickel and dime you with subscriptions and all of that stuff because of our advertisers. And I think it's a good trade. There are a lot of online stuff where they charge you a fee. They may or may not have advertisers, but things, places like Hulu, for instance, which charges you a fee and has advertising, or you pay even more and you don't have any advertising. But I like having it free. That means anybody can listen anytime. I can make it available in every possible form or fashion. And it's all because of our advertisers. So I'm I'm a little partial to them. But I should tell you, I exert a little bit of editorial control on the ads that I read. And I do say, look, I'm not going to do an endorsement for something I don't use. Actually, you may not know this, but the Federal Trade Commission has rules that say you can't endorse something unless you're actually using it. You can't say, make up something, I love these shoes, and if you don't wear them, well, that's not legal. So if you hear somebody endorsing something, they're using it. So I'm very careful to make sure that I only recommend stuff that I use, stuff that I feel like introduce to you without. Because I'll tell you the other reason, the real reason. If it doesn't work, who do you blame? You blame me. You're the guy who told me about it. I'll hear about it. And we don't talk about it much, but I've actually kicked advertisers off the show in the past because people said, this is terrible. And I found out it was, and I said, no, we're not going to do their ads anymore. So if I say I like something on an ad, you can believe me. But it's a little weird, I know, when I went from Carbonite to iDrive. It's mostly because Carbonite stopped buying ads, but also because they became a business solution. And I'm a consumer guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Full disclosure here, right? I want to be honest with you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls coming up after these very, very good advertisements. Hey, our podcast today brought to you by Brave. Have I told you about Brave? I've been using Brave. I probably have for, 6 months, a year. I first discovered Brave because I was looking for an alternative to Google Chrome. Now, I'm a Chrome guy. I love Chrome. But Chrome has increasingly become a problem for people who want privacy, who don't want a lot of ads. In fact, Google just announced Chrome is going to block ad blockers. What the what? Well, when I switched to Brave, I didn't have to worry about it anymore because Brave is Chrome. It's based on Google's open source Chromium project, but without all of the privacy invasive advertising, without the tracking, with ad blocking and spyware blocking. It's a better browser, a next generation web browser. If you like Chrome, you'll love Brave because it's just like Chrome. You can even use your Chrome extensions. Although I don't install all my old Chrome extensions, I don't need to because things like NoScript and uBlock Origin, those are built in. They've got scripting blocking built in. They've got HTTPS everywhere built in. They've got ad blocking built in. And they've got tracker blocking built in, anti-fingerprinting built in. Brave is built by a team that's focused on privacy. And, when they block all that stuff, guess what happens? Your browser gets faster, about 6 times faster than other browsers. That's pretty cool. No malware, no adware, no spyware, faster performance. I don't know why you wouldn't use Brave. It's easy to use. It's quick to switch. It will save battery life because, again, all that stuff eats up your battery. It's really just like using Chrome without getting tracked. Stops trackers and creepy ads from following you across the web. It gives you speed. It gives you online privacy. It blocks trackers. It's a better user experience. I'd pay for this, but it's absolutely free. Of course it's free. Brave does another thing I really honor because one of the problems with ad blocking is when you go to a site and it's a site that has ads on there, a site you love, I don't know if it's The Verge or TechCrunch or iMore, as soon as you block the ads, you're eliminating their revenue. And I want those sites to succeed. So Brave solves this conundrum. You don't have to load the ads. What Brave does is they have something called BAT, Basic Attention Tokens, that let you reward websites without having to see a bunch of ads. You can opt in. Now, you can get tokens by buying them, but you can't opt into Brave ads. These are privacy-respecting ads. They don't track you. They don't do any of the things a lot of those other ads do. They're safe. They don't get in your way. And when you watch one, you automatically get tokens, which you can then donate to any site that you like. The idea is you're fixing the web. You're improving privacy, but you're also giving publishers back their fair share of web revenue. So this, to me, is a great kind of compromise solution. Brave's on a mission to fix the internet. Yesterday was about big tech. Today is about us. Brave, I want you to try it. I think you'll love it. You can have multiple browsers, so there's no reason not to go to brave.com/twit and download it today. And if you want to see everything Brave does, because it does it all silently. It doesn't bug you. But if you want to know what it does, it's very simple. Go to brave.com/twit, download Brave, and then just go to the settings. And as soon as you start going through the settings, you'll say, wow, it does that. It does that. It does that. And but turn on the ones you want. Turn on the ones you don't want. You don't have to use BAT. You don't have to see any ads at all if you don't want to. You're in control, and that's the most important part. Now, you could just go to brave.com and get it. But if you do me a favor, it helps the Tech Guy show if you go to brave.com/twit. That lets them know you saw it here. And we really like Brave, and I'm really glad that they've decided to sponsor the show. So I want to keep them around. Brave.com/twit. Oh, by the way, one more thing. Try the private window. On other browsers, private window browsing isn't really private. It just stops saving cookies. But Google knows what you're doing in private browsing and everything. With Brave, private window can have Tor, so you're completely anonymized. It really is private. It's the only browser with real privacy. Brave.com/twit. Thank you, Brave, for your support of the Tech Guy Show. Now back to the show we go. Oh, Scott Wilkinson's here. Yay, Scott.
Hey, Leo. How
you
doing,
feeling
man?
better? You're still a little hoarse, aren't you?
A little.
Yeah.
Yesterday was like I couldn't talk, literally.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, I know that it really disappointed you.
It did. I always love doing my segment. What can I tell you?
Well, and you have all these great Black Friday stuff.
I spent hours working on this Black Friday deal spreadsheet of mine, so I'm happy to be able to share it with people.
God, yeah, I got it. It's a lot. Excuse me. I just got. Just swallowed a macadamia nut.
That sounds like it went down the wrong way.
No, a little piece of it. Excuse me. Oh, you're not going to read this whole 3-page spreadsheet.
No.
Good.
No,
okay.
No. I always put together more than I plan to use.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's no problem. I've got a few choice ones that I want to point out and stuff.
Right.
In fact, I'll try and pitch a little higher. I'm particularly excited about these Sony speakers.
Great. Good. We'll slog the hell out of whatever it is you. I was impressed, and I mentioned yesterday because Kim said she wanted a new TV, and I mentioned the Abes of Maine deal on the.
Yeah,
LG. That's a great deal.
No kidding. That's the other one I would definitely want to talk about.
Yeah,
man,
cool. Nice.
And I definitely want to say what I wrote to you in my email yesterday that, there are deals that look so amazing. There's a Samsung 75-inch for $750.
But
you just go,
I'm waiting for the but.
It's a 6 series. It's edge lit. It's
not great.
It's not great.
Right.
I'm only going to recommend stuff that I really think is great.
Right.
You can buy 4K TVs for a couple $100 now, but
right.
I'm not going to recommend them. Spend very little money and it doesn't perform that well. It's not worth it, in my opinion.
Right.
So, hey, everybody in the chat room. Sorry I missed you yesterday, but I was sleeping. I slept all day yesterday.
Good. Was it the flu?
I don't know. I got a flu shot, and that was a month or more ago. So
I got a flu shot a month ago too. Yeah.
My wife had this exact same thing about 2 weeks ago. So I must have gotten it from her. I mean, I was very careful.
Well, there's, I think, more instances of norovirus than people are aware of because it's so contagious. It spreads so easily. Yeah. I think they often think it's a flu because it's got flu-like symptoms.
Yeah.
Usually less long-lasting, but I think that honestly, norovirus is really the culprit in a lot of this stuff.
Could be.
Yeah. It's like a cold in that
this was very upper respiratory.
Yeah. Noro is a GI virus, so I guess it's not, says Dr. Mom. Maybe it's just a bad cold.
Yeah. Yeah, Dobby in the chat room said this is going around L.A., and I have heard that. I've heard a lot of people have. Yeah.
Yeah, I always think of norovirus, Dr. Mom, as being a cruise ship thing, but I think it's actually more prevalent, especially now. A lot of us eat, salad bars and
Mm-hmm.
Lots of places.
Oh, and man, there's now this news about romaine from the Salinas Valley again.
I know. Lisa went to our fridge and said, "Is this from the?" Because we have a big bag of romaine.
Yeah, right.
And it doesn't say where it's from, so we don't know. Here we go.
Oh, here we go.
That, my goodness, is a song you don't hear very often on a Sunday Tech Guys show. It's the theme song for our home theater geek, Scott Wilkinson. He's a contributor at techhive.com. Normally joins us on Saturdays. Was a little under the weather yesterday, had laryngitis, but he was so anxious to share his 3-page spreadsheet on Black Friday deals. He's recovered, he's up, he's out of bed, and he's ready to do the Tech
I'm
Guys
out of
show.
bed, and I'm ready to do the show. I'm not going to go over all 3 pages, by the way, so don't worry about that.
Well, what I'm impressed by is the amount of research you do. Now, Black Friday is typically the biggest shopping day of the year, the day after Thanksgiving. I don't know if that's still true because of online shopping and other things.
Well, there's Black Friday, there's Cyber Monday.
The name comes from the notion that retailers and manufacturers who have been in the red, losing money all year, have a big chance to make it up, to get back into the black on this Thursday or Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
I don't know if that's true either, but there are big deals. First question, right from the chat room. Are these deals on existing products, or do manufacturers make products just for Black Friday?
No, they don't make products just for Black Friday. Now, very often the best deals on Black Friday will be from the previous year's models. If they have overstock, if manufacturers have a bunch of extra products from last year, they'll sell them at deep discount on Black Friday.
So they're clearance deals, and that makes sense.
Very often, but not
sense.
always. A lot of the deals that I found that this year are on 2019 products.
Why would somebody like LG discount its state-of-the-art 2019 TV so greatly? I don't understand. It's 50% off.
In some cases, it is. Abe's of Maine, I wanted to mention Abe's of Maine in particular, had some killer deals on LG OLEDs. The C9, which I recommend if you have the money to buy an OLED at all, the C9 is a great TV and a great deal, especially on Black Friday. Abe's of Maine has the 55-inch C9 for $1,200.
That's amazing.
That's 52% off.
Wow. Why does LG do that? What is their? I mean, why?
I mean, they want to get it into the marketplace. They want people to use it, and
they're not selling it at cost, right?
I doubt it. I doubt that.
Yeah.
But and I must admit that TV margins, that is the profit that stores make on TVs, is usually razor thin.
Interesting.
So I don't know quite how they do this.
Yeah.
Maybe they sell them at a loss for this weekend, and then the prices will go back up next week, and people those who have them will show them to their friends and say, hey, this is the greatest TV ever, and then they'll go out and buy them at this somewhat higher price. The 65-inch C9 at Abe's, $1,750. So
wow.
That's really pretty amazing for a 65-inch OLED TV.
Do some retailers cut more? Who determines these prices? Is it the manufacturer or the retailer?
Well, I think it's the retailer.
Okay.
For the most part.
They're eliminating their profit, maybe.
Their profit to get people in the door.
Yeah, and maybe they'll buy other stuff, too. I know.
Exactly.
If you go to a Walmart or a Kmart on Black Friday, there's thousands of people buying stuff. Not all of it, those doorbuster deals. The doorbuster deals get you in there.
That's right. That's right. And now there's one thing I want to say about doorbuster deals, because you'll see these ads and they'll say, oh, a 75-inch 4K TV for $750. Yeah, exactly. And you go, what? Wait a second.
But there's only two at this price.
Well, they're also, I want to make it clear that the recommendations that I'm giving here are TVs and other products that I know perform well. A lot of those doorbuster deals, sure, that you're getting a TV for, an unbelievable price, but it's just not going to perform that well.
Right.
And I want people to really see and hear high performance, good performance.
Yeah.
So I limit. I mean, this 3-page spreadsheet that I sent you, that's tiny compared to the number of deals that are out there. But I spent my time focusing in on what I know performs well.
Where do you get your information? Are there Black Friday sites you like to use?
Oh, yeah. BlackFriday.com is one, certainly.
Right. There's Black Friday ads. I personally am a fan of the Wirecutter because they do a whole Black Friday thing where they review the deals and say, that's a good price, but not a good deal.
Exactly. And that's the point I'm trying to make here.
Yeah.
You might get a good price, but is it a good deal? Is it a good performing product that you're going to be happy with?
What else do you like here? You said the Sony speakers.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to particularly mention, I was surprised, actually, to find in the speaker category, the Sony, what's called the Core series. And Sony, you don't normally think of as being a good speaker company, but I've heard some Sony speakers that were like, wow. Now, they make some really high-end speakers, and those aren't these, but these are derived from the high-end Sony speakers. And Best Buy has them for 50% off.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So if I were getting a surround sound system, these would be okay?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. They're the SSCS3 floor standard, are $100 each instead of $200.
Wow.
The CS5 bookshelf is $75 a pair. CS8 center channel, also $75. You can get Atmos elevation speakers in this series. You can buy a whole Atmos system
for half off.
For half off, I know.
Wow.
Now, Klipsch is another company that always, every year, does 50% off many of its products. So I want to give a shout out to them as well.
That might be a mistake because, like, I know when you're buying a Google Pixel phone, you'd be crazy to buy it at full price because they discount it so much.
Right.
So that might be a mistake. People might just say, "Well, I'll wait for Black Friday to buy my Klipsch speakers," but I see 50+% off on a lot of these Klipsch speakers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what they do.
And those are online, right? Those are.
Yeah, you buy those from Klipsch on the Klipsch website. Although I bet you that many retailers that sell Klipsch would also honor that.
Right.
Wanted to talk about a couple sound bars.
You're a big fan of sound bars for people who don't want the elaborate wiring and placement of multiple speakers. A sound bar will give you some of that surround sound at a much simpler.
Some of them will.
What's a good one?
Well, let's see. I'm looking at my list here. The Yamaha, let's see, at Amazon, the Yamaha YAS207 has what's called DTS Virtual X, and that is a simulated surround system.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just find it again here.
That's half off.
And that's half off. Exactly. At Amazon, 50% off.
$150.
That's right. The Vizio SB3651 is a 5.1 soundbar, which has actual satellites to go behind your seating position. That's also $150, off 40% from Costco.
You just have to go armed with knowledge, because if you go to Costco saying, well, I'm going to get those Vizios, and then you say, oh, but these are only $25 more, and buy it, you may not be getting the deal you think you're getting.
That's right.
So it's really not safe to go shopping without an agenda
safe out there
on Friday. Go with an agenda. At least bring your smartphone and check. Are you going to put this up anywhere? Is there anywhere we can find this, or is this just?
Ooh, you know what? I haven't done that yet.
Let me make a deal. Email it to me, and I'll have James put it on the Tech Guy Labs site.
Perfect.
Was that okay?
I love that. Yeah, it's great. Wonderful. All right. Please do. This is fantastic.
We'll put it up. This is episode, what is it here? 1647. We'll put it up on the website at techguylabs.com.
Great idea.
And then you can peruse these deals, because 3 pages, there's no way we could do it all. Scott, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thanks.
Get better still. Go back to bed, and we'll see you next week on the Tech Guy Show. Scott Wilkinson, home theater geek. You'll find his stuff at techhive.com, and you'll find this list at techguylabs.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. One more segment to go before we wrap it up for Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, Scott. Do you want to stay on a little bit?
Yeah, I could stick around.
If you feel like it, you're more than welcome to. I can let you have the chat room.
Sure. I'll do it for at least the rest of this break.
Cool. It's all yours.
Thanks. Hey, everybody in the chat room. I hope my voice was okay.
Sound great. You sound fine.
You sounded all right.
Oh, yeah, you certainly sound fine, yeah.
Great. Wonderful. Let's see here. User 8085 says the 86 SM9070 LG is an 86-inch HDR 4K UHD nanocell TV. LG nanocell is pretty good. That's their high-end LCD. I still don't like it as well as OLED, but for $2,400, I think that is probably a pretty good deal. It's an LCD. It's an IPS panel, which means that the viewing angle is better, but the black level is not as good as the other kind of LCD panel, which is called VA. And Samsung specializes in VA. LG decided to go with IPS. Now, nanocell does help the picture quality of LCDs. Not as much as quantum dot. And I don't know whether or not this one has local dimming, full array local dimming, FALD. I'd have to look that up. If it does not, I would say it's not a good deal. If it does, I would say it is a good deal. So maybe I'll check that out and see. But Captain J asks, who invented 33 1/3 and why? I don't know. That's a really good question.
He's been asking that all day.
Why 33 1/3? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Why 78? I don't know that either. Thank you, Chickenhead21. I am feeling better today than I did yesterday, thanks to my wife's careful ministrations and lots of chicken soup. Beatmaster's asking, am I still recommending single driver speakers for Atmos upfiring rather than 2- or 3-way speakers? I don't remember ever really recommending single driver per se. I guess it would probably be better in terms of imaging. I mean, if you have a 2- or 3-way speaker that points up and fires and reflects back down, there might be something weird about that. I don't know, actually. Most of them are single driver. That's true. At least one company, maybe that Sony Core series, as I recall now. Maybe I saw a picture of it. It might have been a 2-way. Kay Lou is asking, how do I feel about in-wall speakers? I like them fine if they're well designed and installed well and so on. I would not use them for front channel. I would use them for surrounds, but not for front channel if I could help it. Or rather, in-wall would be okay. I was thinking in-ceiling. In-wall would be okay, but it'd be a little tricky because where's your screen? Assuming that you're using it for TV and movies and so on. If you're using it just for music, then sure. What's the company? Not Wilson. Maybe it is Wilson. I can't think of them. There was one company at Cedia that always brings it when it comes to in-walls. They're just fabulous. I'll see if I can think about that. Compter, it was asking about AVRs, and I didn't get to AVRs in my list here because I only had so little time. But yes, I do have some AVR recommendations. ABT is selling the Denon AVR X1500H, which is 7 point.
That's a good one.
Yeah, 7 point for under $300.
Oh, that's a good price.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott. I hope you feel better.
Thanks. See you next week.
Take care. Oh. Thank you all for being here. We love doing this show. I love doing this show. I won't speak for everybody else, but I think they do too. And we're so glad you tuned in. And I will be back next week. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Let me take a couple more calls before we wrap it up. Line 2, Brian's been hanging on from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hello, Brian.
Hi, Leo. Honored to talk to you. I've been watching you since the days of Tech TV and finally talking to you. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my wife probably doesn't know how much money you've probably helped me spend over the years.
Please don't tell her. I don't want.
You are.
I don't want to incur her ire. It's not my fault. I didn't make him buy it. My wife knows how much I've spent because of me. So.
Yeah, my wife. She's she lives with the tech thing because she's been around me for so long, but she just sees new things coming into the house every day, and she just shakes her head.
It's our hobby.
Yes, exactly.
You could be spending it on golf clubs. It's our hobby.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, I hope we didn't lose you. Hello? Oh, I think he faded out. He was on a car phone, I think.
Oh,
there you are. Now I hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, yep. I'm driving across the. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So I got a two-part question for you. I had a late 2009 iMac with the 27-inch screen that served me very well. And just a few months ago, bought a MacBook Air.
Nice.
And I've been using, very pleased with it. I didn't wait for the whole keyboard thing to change. I kind of see what you're talking about, but
I used that new MacBook Air until I got this new 2016, or 16-inch rather. I think it's fine. I think it's a very nice, very light. It's the original Ultrabook, and I think it's very nice. So don't feel bad.
Yeah. It is very nice. And I've been using, I haven't replaced my display yet, but I've been using, I guess it would be the target display mode on my
right.
Mac, my old iMac.
Yeah, because it has a FireWire port, and so it's like an external hard drive. But, of course, you've got a big screen and other.
It's been really nice, but I got to tell you, my iMac, it's like redonkulously hot. Is that normal? Is that a normal condition?
Well, if it wasn't hot before, it isn't, and it probably is hot. Well, it just depends on how you're using it. I mean, if you're using it as an external hard drive, it might be the drive's doing more work than you would if you're just using it.
No, I'm just using the display mode of it.
Oh. Well, yeah, it shouldn't be getting hot. Older computers sometimes run hotter because they're dustier, they're dirtier, their fans don't work as well, or maybe it's 10 years old, one of the fans has failed, one of the active cooling has failed. That's not unusual.
Yeah, I've had fan issues with that thing over the years where I was using that Mac fan control to try to manually control it.
Oh, yeah. So this isn't something new, really. So that fan may have given up the ghost.
And that might help answer what my second question was. Yeah. Is I've been running Plex on that thing, and I'm in the market, more money for the wife. She doesn't know this or listen to you. But I'm in the market for a NAS or something like that. And I was thinking, well, I could kind of run that thing headless there, maybe put OwnCloud or something like that on it and run it as Plex. But I'm just wondering if maybe...
Well, any old computer can be
spent.
No, it's a reasonable thing to repurpose any old computer as a server. And certainly then you don't spend any additional money. This is an pretty old computer. It's got a Core 2 Duo processor. So it's not a super fast processor. It's dual core. On the other hand, if you bought a NAS, it's probably not going to be a super fast processor either. The Synology that I use Plex on is an Atom processor, and it's fine for Plex. The difference will probably be that a more modern hardware unit will have hardware decoding for 4K video. Your iMac, almost certainly does not, in which case it's going to struggle a little bit with sending you higher quality video signals. So if you got a new NAS that could support in hardware decoding 4K signals, you might be better off. Things like that.
Yeah.
It's not going to be
the software a little bit more seamless.
Well, if you get Synology, if you get Synology, which I recommend, it's what I use. Excellent software, very secure, focused. It's designed as a NAS as opposed to the Mac. The other problem with the Mac, of course, is it's not really designed to be used that way. The drive isn't that big. If you got a Synology, you'd have much more storage space. It sits in a closet. It's headless. It just goes right on the network. It'll be. I'm just giving you an excuse for your wife. It'll be easy. It'll be easier, faster, and undoubtedly better. On the other hand, it'll be expensive because you have to not only buy the NAS, the Synology NAS. I use the 1515 Plus. That's probably $500 or $600. Then you have to put drives in it, and mine supports 5 drives. So the price will be well over $1,000 for a good NAS. But on the other hand, it will run reliably without any problems for years, and it won't get hot, and you won't hear it, and It'll be in a corner somewhere. It's the size of a shoebox. So that's the advantage.
Hard to get past the checkbook.
Well, you got the iMac. And, Apple offers for free the Mac server software you could put on that iMac. You can download that from the store, and that's pretty nice. They have a lot of nice features, including web serving and so forth. The NAS will be better suited to it just because it's designed to do that. It has security features specifically designed for something that you're putting on the public internet. For instance, many people try to attack servers, SSH servers, by trying to log in over and over again. If I look at my logs, a lot of people who seem to be coming from China, who knows where they're really coming from, trying to log into my NAS. And so one of the features Synology offers is if the same IP address tries more than, and you can set this number, I set it for 3 times to log in unsuccessfully, block them. Block them. You have to remember your password because you don't want to be one of the people blocked. But that's a very good feature because most of these brute force attacks, they have to try again and again and again. So if they try unsuccessfully a few times, block them. They can't get through anymore. And that's a really nice security feature. It's little things like that are built into NASs, specifically the Synology NAS, that you just don't get anywhere else. So that's why it's definitely going to be a better solution for you. But it is expensive, and you have this old computer. I think a lot of older computers get repurposed as servers. Certainly mine do. I'm running my Minecraft servers on a 5-year-old computer I bought for some specific purposes, but it's a pretty hefty beast. In fact, I call it Beast, so it makes a great server. But notice, I don't run Plex on it because the Synology is just really designed to be out in the public running the Plex server. It's just between us. I won't tell your wife. Don't worry. Don't worry. Time to wrap the show up. I'm sad. Have a great Thanksgiving. Those of you in the U.S., I hope you have a wonderful time. I hope you get to visit with family and friends and spend some time being grateful for all the wonderful blessings we have in this life. And if you're going to families' houses, and I know Scott would back me up on this, go to their TV, put it in cinema mode, and turn off the frame interpolation. Get rid of that soap opera effect. That's the least you can do. And then say, hey, got any other tech problems? I'll fix them for you. Thanks to our musical director, Lady Laura, for spinning the discs today. Thanks to Kim Schaffer for answering the phones. Thanks most of all to you for being here. I couldn't do this show without you. Have a great geek week, and I'll see you next time. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Happy Turkey Day. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.